Hey guys, my name is Lilly and today I want to bring you the news from Europe, especially from German-speaking countries like Germany and Austria. And it's time for another video because a lot of things are happening. So in my last video I've reported about a couple of car manufacturers being in trouble and closing factories in Germany. And those reports came from Mercedes having financial troubles, but also Volkswagen closing down factories in Germany, but also now Audi is closing its first factory in Germany, in Europe. And this development is really bad for us European citizens because if you have car factories closing, if you have rising electricity prices and rising natural gas prices, it will make the cost of the car more expensive, and that means that the end price of the car will be more expensive. And right now the people just don't have the money to buy very expensive cars, and as a result they are selling less and less cars and they have to close down factories. And because of those factories closing, thousands of people have lost their jobs, and that's perpetuating the recession even more. So it's the cat biting its own tail, and that's not good, of course, and that's really bad. So now I have a story for you about a friend who wanted to purchase a car, and it's not only that the price has risen for less product quality, but also now comes the thing. So here in Europe we have a law now which makes it mandatory to put GPS and also a brake assistance system into the car. So this has been going on for a couple of years now, and most people would turn off this brake assistance system because it's very often making mistakes. If you brake the wrong way on the street, for example, that can cause an accident. So this is why a lot of people, they just turned off this brake assistance system, and then it was okay, you know, then just the GPS probably will work, but the other things were turned off. But now comes the thing. So now they have made a change in the law, and now the car is required to restart this brake assistance system every time you power on the car. So you cannot switch this brake assistance system off for good anymore, but every time the car restarts, you have to switch it off manually on the screen of the car. Let's say you are going on a shopping tour. Maybe you have to stop at 4 different shops. So you stop your car at the parking lot, turn off the car, go shopping, you come back, turn on the car, and then you have to switch off the brake assistance system manually off again. So you have to do that every time now, and that really sucks because a lot of people will be too lazy and they don't want to switch it off every time. So I bet that a lot of people will just let the system turn on without getting switched off, and that can cause, of course, accidents. So now we have to be even more careful when driving because there might be some car in front of you making a wrong braking maneuver, which could even cost your life. So that's really, really bad. Also, my friend told me that there's a second change which is coming now. So with 2025 there will be alcohol testers built into the car, and you can only turn on the car if you blow into the alcohol tester, and if you have drunken alcohol, then the car does not start. These are the changes that we are going through here in Europe right now when it comes to cars. Alright, the next I want to show you this article here, which is Coca-Cola closing 5 factories in Germany. So apparently people are struggling so much with money that they don't even have a little bit of spare coins for purchasing Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola is really a luxury product if you think about it. Do you need it to survive? Definitely not. Is it nice to drink it sometimes? Some people say yes. Is it healthy? Certainly not. So you don't need this to survive, and if people don't have money because of the inflation, because of rising electricity and natural gas prices, because of rising tax prices, rising CO2 tax, rising welfare tax, raising community taxes, of course they don't have the money anymore to purchase a bottle of Coca-Cola. Okay, next I would like to show you this article here. It's about a famous kitchen company that has operated in Austria for I don't know how many years. Many people have kitchens from this company here. Küchen is its name. And they are now bankrupt, and a lot of people who had made a down payment for a kitchen are now losing most of their money. So that's another Austrian company, which was really old, a traditional kitchen company, is now closing its doors. So it's not only the bigger companies, but also smaller companies being in trouble. So the inflation in general has gone back now, but still the prices are high, and now they are even talking about a very dangerous inflation coming back of a supermarket inflation. Because in October the prices in Germany, for example, have risen again. And in this article they are saying that the supermarket inflation could be a risk for the German economy again. Next, when it comes to electric cars, they are now talking about bi-directional charging. So they want to use the cars of people as a battery. And this is why they also have installed the smart meter. So with the smart meter and together with this system with EVs, they can now use the electricity which is stored inside of the batteries of electric cars. So if they need electricity for the grid, for example, they can take the electricity from your car. And I completely understand why they are doing this, because the electric grid has become extremely vulnerable, and that's because the electricity is so volatile. So because of wind power and sun power, it can be that sometimes there's no sun or no wind, and then there could be the case that there's too much sun and too much wind. So it's really hard to keep the electricity at the same level, the voltage at the same level, and the hertz at, I believe, almost 50 hertz or something. So it's really hard to even out those bumps, yeah? And this is why now they think about taking the electricity from the batteries. And if a lot of people have EVs, this will definitely work. But of course the big problem is that I, as a private person, I wouldn't like this, because if I plug in my car to recharge it, then I want it to be recharged and not electricity taken out. Because maybe I'm planning a trip to go somewhere and then I cannot go because the car did not charge. Instead it discharged, and then I don't have enough of battery life left to go on a trip. So that's a huge discussion point, and yeah, that's also one of the reasons why I don't get an electric vehicle. But honestly, I don't know how long this will work out, and they are definitely pushing us to purchase more electric vehicles. I don't know, maybe they will say this car will be illegal in a couple of years, I cannot use it anymore on the street. Everything is possible now. Everything is possible. Okay, now let's come to the most concerning thing, which I've read in the last week. So this article is about the European Union wanting us citizens to prepare. So they are saying now that every household should have supplies for 72 hours. And this is coming from Brussels, from the EU Commission. So they are saying that most European countries are not in a position to ensure the survival of the citizens for at least 3 days in the event of a crisis. The new EU Commission is now calling for more personal responsibility on the part of citizens. Every household should stock up on supplies. They even have made an article on the website of the European Commission. So now let's go through it, through the most important things. Strengthening Europe's civil and military preparedness and readiness. The EU and member states are not fully prepared for the most severe cross-sectoral and or multi-dimensional crisis scenarios, including elevated risks of major cyber attacks and acts of sabotage, putting citizens at the core of preparedness. Preparedness can only be successful with the active participation of citizens. Raising public awareness of the risk landscape without fostering anxiety and empowering citizens to be able to take more responsibility for their individual preparedness is of paramount importance. Okay, this is really interesting. I really want you to read this. Click on the link and read through this because it's so much information I cannot bring it all in this video. Without ranking or prioritizing risks or threats or trying to cover them exhaustively in this report, the confluence of different risks leads to an increased probability of major cross-sectoral crises, shocks and disruptions occurring simultaneously in the years ahead. Okay, now comes a list of the things that can happen. The rules-based global order is fragmenting, narrowing the basis for effective multilateral cooperation to address transnational challenges through global institutions. Extreme weather events will become more frequent and intense in Europe and around the world, destabilizing in particular communities in fragile contexts. Since Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine, the security threat posed by Russia is at its highest since the end of the Cold War. Even more so when considering the multi-front implications of growing tensions in East Asia and the Middle East. Number 4. Our open and connected societies and economies are increasingly subject to brazen hybrid campaigns including cyber attacks, foreign information manipulation and interference, sabotage and the instrumentalization of migration. Strategic competition over raw materials, disruptive technologies and global influence is intensifying, linking economic and security interests most closely together. An arc covering major areas marked by fragility, instability, conflict and war stretches from our south to our east, with spillover effects on the European Union that blur the lines between internal and external security. Another pandemic remains a distinct possibility to be prepared for, given the possibility of transmutations of animal viruses, as well as the accelerating biotechnological innovation facilitating the development of synthetic pathogens. Actively engaging citizens in crisis preparedness starts with raising their risk and threat awareness. Building on this, citizens' ability to act in the face of disaster or adversity needs to be bolstered by reinforcing individual and household preparedness and readiness across the board. Oh my god, you really need to read this. I mean, this is going on and on and on. There are pages of this. This needs to be accompanied by attention to citizens' psychological resilience, mental well-being, and long-term capacity to cope with an environment characterized by heightened risk and volatility. Yeah, and here they are promoting the 72-hour self-sufficiency campaign. The EU should aim to ensure households throughout the EU are prepared for minimum 72-hour basic self-sufficiency in different types of emergencies, taking into account national differences, for example by providing guidelines of stockpiling, evacuations, CBRN situations, access to medical services or schooling in emergencies. Improve crisis and emergency communication to reach citizens under all conditions. Here's also a very good graph about all of the threats that they are preparing on: critical infrastructure disruptions, disruptive technologies, hybrid campaigns, cyber attacks, armed aggression, cross-border spillover effects, environmental degradation, extreme weather events and disasters, climate change, infectious diseases, economic shocks and supply disruptions, resource scarcity and economic coercion. Here they have made a survey about how much people are prepared. So they have asked people if they have candles or flashlights at home, and 47% said yes. So more than 50% don't have flashlights and candles at home. 36% have pharmacies at home, 29% have a stock of food and water at home, 20% have emergency supply of water for cooking and hygiene, 20% have a battery-powered radio accessible, 18% agreed with family, friends on how to contact each other in case of an emergency, 16% have made sure you have copies of your most important documents. 11% have signed up for alerts and warnings from emergency services or authorities. 9% got informed on the response plan of your city, region or country. 8% have prepared a grab bag in case you need to evacuate in an emergency. 7% discussed common protective measures in your neighborhood. 7% have invested in protective measures in your home, for example, flood-proofing the electricity installation, clearing vegetation to protect against storms of fire. We are not too prepared here in Europe. Some people are, but most of the people are not. And because of the survey, they are now trying to make this campaign that people are at least prepared for 72 hours. The EU should strive to further raise household preparedness to ensure that every EU citizen is equipped to provide for themselves for a minimum of 72 hours in case the normal provision of basic services is disrupted in a crisis. Yeah, here they're stating that smart cities will make urban areas more resilient and capable of withstanding and quickly recovering from a variety of threats. Okay. So yeah, this is going on and on and on. It's a really long article, and if you want to read it, I will post the link into the description below. I cannot read it all because it's just too long. Very important information in here. Also maybe an outlook for the future and what's coming and what they are actually preparing for. Alright guys, so right now there are a lot of news coming out in the European Union. And I think I have to do weekly videos now on the news here because a lot of things are happening. So if you're interested in these videos, then make sure that you are subscribing to my channel, and I will give my best to bring you all of the relevant news. Alright guys, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching and stay tuned till next time.